influence. So the subjunctive mood is used when verbs of influence are present in the sentence, and it's not just a verb of influence. You have to have these three things. First, a verb of influence. We need the word que, as with most subjunctive situations. Que is going to connect the independent clause with the dependent clause. And the dependent clause is going to need a change of subject. So what's going on here is that mi mamá quiere que yo venga a la casa temprano. My mom wants me to come home early. Since my mom wants me to do something and it's unclear that I will or I won't, there's influence present. One person trying to influence the other. The subjunctive is required, which is why we have venga rather than the indicative viene. Here are several verbs of influence. These aren't all the verbs of influence, but ones that are very common and you'll probably see in your classes. The bottom one, ojalá que, is not a verb that's going to be conjugated. Ojalá que means I hope that or God willing. Ojalá que tú vengas a la clase a tiempo means that I hope or God willing you arrive to class on time. The subjunctive is required with ojalá que. So, something to be careful with are, without these verbs, without que, these verbs of influence are followed by an infinitive. So this first example says that mi maestro prefiere que nosotros usemos lápiz para hacer la tarea. The subjunctive is needed here because my teacher prefers that we do something. There's two subjects. There's influence, and we have the word que. In this next example, mi maestro prefiere usar lápices simply says that my teacher prefers to use pencils. There's no influence. Since there's no influence and no que, we need the infinitive that follows the verb preferir. Mi maestro prohíbe que mastiquemos chicle en la clase. My teacher prohibits us to chew gum in class is the subjunctive, because we have all three things required. Se prohíbe masticar just tells us that generally speaking it is prohibited to chew in class. Another couple tricky verbs of influence are the verbs decir and pedir. Decir que and pedir que can be indicative, even if it has the que. And the reason is that if with decir que someone is simply telling somebody something, and not telling them to do something, that's indicative. And pedir que, if someone is simply asking somebody something versus asking them to do something. Asking them to do something would be the subjunctive. Mi padre me dice que yo limpie el garaje is a subjunctive because my dad is telling me to clean the garage. Versus mi padre me dice que yo soy inteligente says that my dad tells me that I am intelligent. Here there's no influence. My dad is simply telling me something. And in these last two examples, ellos nos piden que nosotros vengamos después de la clase. They ask us to come after class. Versus the indicative, ellos nos piden cuál es la fecha. They're just simply asking us what the date is, not to do something. Practiquemos. Please pause the video if you'd like to try these before I explain each one. Número uno, quiero que tú vayas al gimnasio conmigo. There's influence, two subjects, and que, so we need the subjunctive. Número dos, sí. Se permite estacionar aquí. Yes, it is allowed or permitted to park here. Since there's no influence, I'm not permitting someone to do something, it is the infinitive. Ella dice que hoy es un día especial. Here, she's simply telling me that today is a special day. Mis madres recomiendan que sus hijos no hablen malo de otras personas. Here, my moms recommend that their children don't speak poorly or bad about other people. There's influence with que and two subjects, so we need the subjunctive. Ellos siempre me piden que yo busque los problemas antes de llamar. They always ask me to do something, so since there's influence with the verb pedir, we need the subjunctive. Esperamos abrir la escuela a tiempo. We wish or we hope to open school on time this year. Without the que, we need an infinitive. Number 7. Basta ya. Necesito que ustedes se callen. Enough already. I need you all to be quiet. I'm trying to influence you, so we need the subjunctive. Reflexive verbs have the reflexive pronoun right before, since this is a conjugation, whether it's the subjunctive or the indicative. And finally, la enfermera insiste en que yo tome el jarabe. She insists that I take my medicine every day. Gracias por ver este video y te deseo mucho éxito.